So, hey everybody, this is Rick Baker with Responder Support Services. And I'm sitting here today with Chief Steve Parker with the Black Mountain Police Department here in North Carolina. And first of all, I want to welcome Chief Parker here for the year and welcome you to the Responder Support Services family. You just signed your contract for your first year of embedded behavioral health services. Your clinician hasn't even set foot in your agency yet. So I wanted to ask you a couple questions. So first, maybe tell us a little bit more about your agency, the size of your agency, sworn and non-sworn.
Yeah, so we have a 28 total staff, 27 sworn. And so we're a small agency, kind of family type atmosphere, and we're excited to have crossed this threshold and gotten an embedded clinician. This is a big deal for me as an agency head.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to have a clinician who's embedded inside your agency for 1 day a week for this first contract year. It's going to be in close proximity to your folks, working really intimately with those folks from inside the PD in Black Mountain. So a lot of folks who might be watching this know something about an embedded program. They may not realize that an embedded program can be ideally suited for a smaller agency. So maybe talk a little bit about how you came to find this as a good fit for a small agency like yours.
Yep, so this has been a big deal, a big transition for me as a police chief. I've been in law enforcement for 32 years and we've seen how health and wellness has become the number one priority in law enforcement. Number one for, taking care of the employee, but also for retention. And for me, it's about relationships, right? Mm-hmm. So the deal with embedded as opposed to, I think there's different standards, right? And the gold standard obviously is if you can afford to be a really large agency and have your own clinician full-time, that's a gold standard. That's a 1% of law enforcement. But what is the next step? What's the gold standard for those agencies that are several hundred officers or below? And it's having an embedded clinician so you can build relationships so that the officers and staff have trust. And for us, that's what we were looking for, is how can I build a relationship so that it's going to help my staff basically physically and mentally to make sure that I retain them and take care of them when they're also at home and not just at work.
Having a clinician inside your agency embedded so close to your personnel, what kind of an impact are you hoping that this program is going to create at Black Mountain Police Department?
Yeah, so, I think over the years what I've seen is, as we have these critical incidents, we understand now the impact, what they have on the personnel, the staff, the officers, the team, as I like to call them. They're my team. And what I hope is the impact changes their lives to have a more fruitful life, not just inside work, right? Of course, I care about how they deliver their service. And, you've heard the happy wife, happy life. Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same thing. We want to make sure if our personnel's happy, they're treated the right way, that they're delivering service better. But not only that, if they're happy at work, they're also happier at home. And so to me, this is the whole 360 view of what do I believe it's going to do for my personnel. And, to me, it's about what it's going to do to impact their lives. Mm-hmm. All the way around at home and at work. And that's what I'm hoping from this.
Yeah, there's also studies that show a happier workforce is naturally more resilient.
Absolutely.
And you're right. It's hard to separate work from home and home from work.
Yep.
So if they're happier at work, they're going to go home and have happier home lives.
That's right. And if they learn how to deal with the things that they see at work through somebody who's more experienced, can coach them along, then it helps them to deal with those things at home as well. And so I think it just gives them a capability of some things that they haven't had in the past. In the past, we locked them in the suitcase, and then we shut them down, went at home, and didn't realize that we were bringing it home because we thought we weren't, but we actually were.
As you're learning, each embedded program that we have is customized to fit the unique needs of each agency. And I know it's early, your clinician hasn't even set foot on there for her first day yet, but have you started to think about what you might need specifically for Black Mountain PD from this program? What components might be a good fit, or a service that you might be looking for from this program?
So law enforcement, fire, just public service often doesn't trust people, so they don't speak to them, right? And so they're worried about their jobs. They're worried if they do have something that impacts them, how could it impact their job? Yeah, I think with this program, and I think the most important part of an embedded clinician and the program that you offer is relationships, right? So with this, we build relationships with a specific clinician. What does that build? Trust.
Yeah, for sure. And confidentiality is a big part of our program, because particularly if a cop has a bad experience and somebody breaks that confidentiality, they're going to broadcast that from the rooftops. So, I always say we're in the keep our mouth shut business, and so confidentiality is super important, and it's essential for these programs to work. And your staff will learn now over time that nothing goes back up the chain. Let's say you were talking to a group of your peers, a group of agency leaders, and maybe some of them have kicked around the idea of utilizing services like this. What would you say to them, or how would you advise them to move forward if they were thinking about doing something like this?
As agency heads, it's time that we look at things differently, and we make sure that we're taking care of our staff. We see that the North Carolina Police Chiefs Association has been granted, I think it's $1.5 million. I might be off on that number, but we see that International Associations of Chiefs of Police has also made this their number one priority, health and wellness. Well, how do you do it? I think there's only one standard, and that's embedding, building the relationships, building the trust, making sure that diffusings, debriefings, and then making sure that that clinician is there to personally have a relationship with the staff so that they know what the needs are, and they can see if someone's demeanor has changed over time, right? If you don't have that relationship, you don't know if they come in and it looks like a week they are going through bad times. This changes that, and that's why I say that that's what's important about choosing this service, embedded clinicians.
So yeah, that embedded clinician has the ability to solve problems before they become problems, or to keep problems from becoming big problems, which the only way to do that is when you're inside the agency observing everything that's going on.
That's right. Knowing the people that you're working with and serving.
So thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come down here and talk to me about this. I'm super excited to see the impact that this program is going to have at Black Mountain Police Department, and I'll be watching from the sidelines as a clinician gets in there and does her thing and customizes the program to meet the needs of your agency. So thank you for trusting us with your people, and thanks for taking the time today to come in and talk to us.
Thanks for having me.